Hello, good day. I am Mr. Mark Anthony A. Lumpinas, your instructor for this course, Research in Daily Life 2. In this video lecture, we will be discussing Module 4 entitled Literature Search and Review. Okay, this chapter presents the concepts and processes that could lead you in refining your research topic and completing the background of your study. In here, skills that require both an engagement with your proposal and with external tools will be put to test as you will be dealing with reading books, searching the internet, and synthesizing what you read and comprehended. Okay, literature search and review is an activity in research writing which engage a researcher in reading books, diba, searching for available related literature and related studies, and then synthesizing what you have read and comprehended in order to support, in order to make in order to support the claim of your study. Likewise, this will lead you to the improvement of your topic and research problem based on what you have read and synthesize. Learning objectives of this module are the following. At the end of the chapter, you should be able to define what literature search and review are, define what is related literature and related studies, know the importance, purposes, and functions of related literature, and know the characteristics of related literature and studies, identify when and how literature search and review are done, identify various resources to look for supporting literature, and synthesize related materials effectively to show relevance of your research and explain the concept of plagiarism and the ways to avoid committing mistakes related to intellectual property in research. Okay. Before you can make a research proposal, it is important to scan the literature because this could help you in coming up with topic and give you a more extensive knowledge on the topic that you intend to discuss. To do this, you must read previous studies as well as theories related to your topic. Before writing your research proposal class, it is important that you will read related literature and related studies. You will scan literature in various sources. It's either from books, it's either from encyclopedia, newspapers, journal articles, previous researches, theses, and dissertations. And then by reading, by reviewing, one way that you can get is you can come up with a topic, and then it can give you a more extensive knowledge on the topic that you intend to discuss. By doing proper literature search and review, you are ensuring that you are duplicating what has been made by other researchers, and you are able to show that you are familiar with what you are studying. Also, one advantage of reviewing or proper literature search and review is that you can ensure whether you are duplicating a certain study or not, and then it can be your basis whether what is the coverage of your research is, and what will be the topic that you want to conduct a research. The literature review is seen as one of the most important parts of research process. However, students tend to take this phase for granted because it is seen as a daunting task as it requires reading, digesting, and summarizing what has been read. However, it is also important to realize that doing this will make your research more authoritative and substantiate its novelty. So, reviewing related literature and related studies are very important activities, diba? Are considered important parts of the research process. In fact, there are some researchers who review first, who read related literature, and then scan related studies before coming up with a topic. Nayuban nga mga researchers nga wala pa sila yung topic pero they started reading, di ba? The first step nga ilang ibuhat is reviewing literature and related studies. And then by reviewing and they come up with a research topic. However, there are some students who take this phase for granted. That is why I always emphasize in my class that related literature and related studies plays a vital role in your research writing. Unsay mahatag niya? Related literature and related studies can support the claim of the study. In fact, it can make your study more authoritative and substantiate its novelty because by providing related literature, na mo support, di ba? Na mo support by providing related studies, na mo support nga this study is really researchable. Aside from that, yes, reviewing literature and related studies could be a great task to a researcher because it requires a lot of reading, digesting, and summarizing what you have been read. Okay, now what is literature review? Literature review is a systematic, thorough, and detailed searching and synthesizing of materials available on a topic that you are going to study. Okay, darang. Literature review is a systematic, thorough, detailed searching and synthesizing of materials available on a topic that you are going to study. So, when you say literature review, it is a systematic process. I mean, it involves step-by-step process, a thorough process, and then detailed searching and synthesizing of materials. So, in doing this, diba, in this phase of research writing, you will be searching a lot of reading materials to read and then synthesizing what you have read. And as much as possible, the search for literature should be extensive. But as soon as the appropriate literature or materials are found, the discussion or review should be focused. But how and where do we start? Diba? In doing literature search and review, how do we start and where do we start? Literature search and review are done in all aspects of the research process. As soon as you thought about your topic, diba? You will start to scan, you will start to search and review related literature until you are already writing your manuscript. There are times that you will still continue reading, continue reviewing related literature. And then even while gearing up for presentation or publication, still naagihapon ka sa process of searching and reviewing because dili lang kas-a, diba? You cannot gather the information that you want, diba? Related literature and related studies in just one shot, diba? While thinking of your topic, magbasa ka, diba? Well, nana ka sa writing phase, writing your manuscript, you will still be engaged in reading. And then, even for presentation or for publication, diba? Considering that, humana, your research is already defended in a research panel or experts, and then you wanted to present it, you wanted to publish it in a certain publishing company, still, you will, mabalik lagi ni literature search and review. You are going to review your paper, whether whether it is supported with information, diba? Suitable information, makasupport kung unsa imong claim sa imong study. Nonetheless, the process starts with knowing where to look for literature. This is the first, diba? Since literature search and review is systematic, it involves a step-by-step process. So, dili basta-basta. Dili siya diretso nga makakuha ka dayon og related literature or related studies. You will undergo certain steps, diba? So first is knowing where to look for literature, diba? It is very important that a researcher already know how to look for literature. Asa day ko mangita og related literature. There are thousands of papers written about a single topic, diba? If we are going to search it in the internet through google.com, like searching a keyword, there will be a lot of suggestions, diba? Papers presented, papers published about a single topic. So naanay information about that topic. Although there might be topics that are relatively under research as of present, there are related that could be used as reference or included in justifying the need and interest in conducting your study. Knowing what and where to search are already half the battle. So let us get started. So the first step is knowing where to look for literature and then knowing what to look, diba? What information you are going to look. What is related literature? Related literature is composed of discussions of facts and principles to which the present study is related. So, chapter 2 of your research paper deals so much with discussion of facts, discussion of principles. That comprise your related literature. When you say related literature, it talks about it talks about discussion of information related to your chosen topic, discussion of facts, discussion of principles related to your study, and then discussion of theories, and then previous studies conducted. For instance, if the present study deals with drug addiction, literature to review or survey should compose of materials that deal with drug addiction. These materials are classified as local if printed in the Philippines, and foreign if printed in other lands. So natay duha ka classification of materials. So natay related literature, locally printed, diba, locally published. Also we have also related literature printed in other lands. So it is very important to know where to look related literature. So we have related literature or materials that are classified as local if it is printed in the Philippines, and then foreign if it is printed in other lands. There are some also research which requires local related literature and then foreign related literature to further support the claim of the study. How about related studies? How do they differ? Unsay kalahian ni related literature o related studies? So sa related literature, it talks about facts, it talks about principles, theories about a certain topic. Related studies is a study already conducted, diba? Which is related to your chosen topic. Related studies, on the other hand, are studies or researches, inquiries, or investigations already conducted to which the present proposed study is related or has some bearing or similarity. They are usually unpublished materials such as manuscripts, theses, and dissertations. Sa kalahian, when we talk about related literature, these are information, discussion of facts, discussion of principles about a certain topic. So you will be reviewing facts, theories, information published by government agencies and other agencies. However, when you talk about related studies, these are researches already conducted by certain researchers, and then these studies are related to your proposed study or has something to be or has similarity to your study. So there are really cases wherein, like for example, you wanted to study waste management system, diba? Waste management system. If we are going to browse it in the internet, or subscribe ka ni academia.com.ph, daghan kayo og mga researches nga related ni solid waste management, and that can be your related study. So related studies are manuscripts, diba? It can be unpublished materials, diba? Manuscripts, theses, and dissertations already conducted. And still, it may be classified as local if the research was conducted in the Philippines, and foreign if the research is conducted in foreign lands. Next will be importance and functions of related literature and studies. How important related literature and studies are. What are the purposes of related literature and related studies, and what are its functions? Okay. A survey Okay. Next topic will be importance, purposes, and functions of related literature and related studies. Okay, a survey or review of related literature and studies is very important because such reviewed literature and studies serves as the foundation of the proposed study. When I say foundation, it will really support the claim of your study. With your reviewed related literature and studies, your research can be more authoritative, diba, reliable, and then substantial. Your RRL will serve as the foundation of the proposed study because it will support your assumption and your claim in your study. This is because related literature and related studies guide the researcher in pursuing his research venture. Reviewed literature and studies help or guide the researcher in the following ways. So these are the reasons why RRL are considered important in research writing. So it helps or guide the researcher in the following ways. First, RRL or review of related literature and studies help or guide the researcher in searching for or selecting a research problem or topic. As I mentioned kanina, there are some researchers na wala pa naka-decide kung unsa ilang gusto nga unsa nga topic ilang studihan, di ba? Some of you are still undecided of what topic you're going to do or you conduct a research. By doing review of related literature, by reading books, reading related theses or dissertations, and then reading journal articles, newspapers, magazines, you can come up with a topic that interests you to conduct a certain research, di ba? First reason, RRL can help a researcher to select a research problem or topic, especially for those researchers who are still undecided of what topic that they are going to study. By reviewing related materials, a replication of similar problem may be found better than a problem already chosen. So when we say replication, it is the study of a research problem already conducted but in another place. Kasi you can conduct a research, di ba, as a replication of another research. What do you mean by replication? By reading related thesis or dissertation, nagkaisabihan niya ni. And pwede manggunta mag-research to verify, to assess the reliability of a certain research conducted previously by certain researches. Ang tawagan na replication of a study, di ba? A study of a research problem already conducted but in another place. Like for example, you want to conduct the same research but with different variables and then with different setting and then with different participants. Pwede na siya. That is what we call replication. Okay, second reason why RRL is considered important, they help the investigator understand his topic for research better, di ba? Through reviewing related literature and related studies, a researcher or investigator can have or can understand better or can understand his topic for research better because there are some researchers like you, especially kamo mga student researchers, kanang nag-search lang mo mga topic, di naman kani di naman okay na siya nga research topic, katura po ninyo ang gusto nga studihan, but you don't have a full understanding of what that topic is all about. By reviewing related literature and related studies, the investigator can understand well, di ba? Can understand better of his chosen topic. Reviewing related literature and studies may clarify vague points about his problem, di ba? Ma-clarify niya ang vague dito, maklaro, di ba? Maklaro niya ang mga points, certain points of the chosen problem or topic. Number three, RRL ensure that there will be no duplication of other studies. there is duplication if an investigation already made is conducted again in the same locale using practically in the same respondents. As what I've said kanina, is okay to replicate a certain study. When you say replication, you will conduct similar study but in another place or in another setting or with different respondents. But if you conduct the same study with the same locale, with the same respondents, and then with the same variable, pareho tanan, that is no longer replication. That is what we call duplication. By reviewing related studies and related literature, ma-avoid nato si duplication of researches. Diba? It's not good to duplicate a certain research. This is avoided if a survey of related literature and studies he made first. Number 4. That is why I always emphasize to you, like once you propose a research topic, I always emphasize to you that there are already certain researches conducted about that chosen topic before, diba? If you wish to conduct certain study, a sort of verification, it can be that you will conduct similar study but a sort of replication in another setting with different variable, and there are additional variable, and then with different participants or respondents, and it can be with different statistical tools to use and then different methodology. Number 4. RRL help and guide the researcher in locating more sources of related information. This is because the bibliography of the study already conducted indicate references about similar studies. For example, nakita nga similar study sa imong chosen topic. By reviewing related literature and related studies, mas ma-open ka, or you will be introduced to more sources of related information because similar studies conducted before or previously also shows references about similar studies. Pwede po nimo mahimo nga reference, o pwede po nimo nga himong basahon, di ba, for further review of related literature and related studies. Number 5, reason why RRL is considered important. They help and guide the researcher in making his research design, especially in, diba? RRL help the researcher in making his research design, especially in the formulation of specific questions to be researched on, diba? Formulation of the statement of the problem or your research questions, makatabang si RRL. Formulations of assumptions and hypotheses, if there should be any, diba? Makatabang si RRL. Formulation of your conceptual framework, makatabang si RRL. Selection and application of the methods of research, diba? Selecting of what appropriate method to use, makatabang si RRL. And then selection and application of sampling techniques, makatabang gihapon si RRL. Selection and preparation and validation of research instrument for gathering data, still RRL can be useful. Selection and application of statistical procedures, the analysis or organization, presentation, and interpretation of data, and making of summary of implication for the whole study, and lastly, the formulation of the summary of findings, conclusions, and recommendations. RRL can be as useful as it is. Diba? Dako kay katabang si RRL in the research writing phase. Number 6. They help and guide the researcher in making comparison between his findings with the findings of other researchers on similar studies with the end of view of formulating generalizations or principles which are the contributions of the study to the fund of knowledge. Diba? We conducted research because we wanted to add additional knowledge, diba? Additional information to the fund of knowledge. And then there are reasons also wherein we conducted research to verify the truthfulness, diba? The reliability, the acceptability, the validity of a certain research previously conducted, diba? By some researchers. By reviewing related literature and related studies, it can help you, or it can help a researcher to compare your findings or the finding of a certain researcher to another researcher. Diba? To come up with generalization or principles which can contribute or which can add to the fund of knowledge. Next, Characteristics of related literature and related studies. So what are the characteristics of related literature and related studies? There are certain characteristics of related materials that make them of true value. Among these characteristics are the surveyed materials must be as recent as possible. Diba? In reviewing related literature and related studies, let us take note that we must prioritize those recent surveyed materials. Diba? This is important because of the rapid social, economic, scientific, and technological changes occurring in our society. Daghan kay nabago. That is why, as a researcher, must prioritize recent, diba, surveyed material as much as possible. We must review recent materials like katong mga bag-o na nga mga information, and then bag-o na nga discovery and all. Okay. Because of the rapid social, economic, scientific, and technological changes, diba, finding several years ago may be of little value today because of the fast-changing lifestyle of the people. That is why a researcher like you must prioritize recent, diba, as recent as possible materials. Diba? We will emphasize. Okay, a researcher must look for if there are recent information about a certain topic, so we must prioritize recent information, like we must review kanang mga bag-o nga published nga books, diba? Bag-o nga new journals. In fact, in research, it is advisable that we must review only 5 years ago nga mga materials. But there are exemptions, class. However, treatises that deal on universal or things, diba, na mga treatises that deals with universal things or of more or less permanent nature will still be good today. There are mathematical laws and formulas and statistical procedures had been formulated a long time ago, which are being used today with very little improvement. This is also true with natural and physical laws. Books on this, through written a long time ago, are still being cited today. So, na exemption. We must review, diba, materials, recent materials as much as possible. However, if natin nakita nga material nga importante kayo siya, like it's still applied or universally applied or followed today, diba, as of this time, still we must review it. Like for example, mga mathematical laws, diba, physical laws, treatises, mga information nga related kaayo nga wala pay duplication or wala pay replication sa current researches, pwede na to siya i-cite. Another exemption is when a comparison or contrast is to be made between the conditions of today and those of remote past, say 10 or 20 years ago. Naturally, literature and studies about the remote past have to be surveyed and reviewed. Second characteristics, materials reviewed must be objective and unbiased. Diba? In reviewing related literature and related studies, we should be as objective as possible and we should be unbiased. Some materials are extremely or subtly one-sided, either political or religious, etc. That is why kung natin nakitaan ng mga materials, yung mga unbiased, di ba? Mga biased, di ba? Rather biased materials, meaning one-sided. So do not cite it in your research. Comparison with the materials cannot be made logically and validly. Distorted generalizations may result. So comparison with materials cannot be made logically and validly. Distorted generalization may result if we are reviewing biased information or materials. Number 3, material surveyed must be relevant to the study. So dito basta-basta lang og review, di ba? Of course, we will be reviewing only relevant information, relevant literature and studies relevant to our study. Only materials that have been that have some bearing or similarity to the research problem at hand should be reviewed. Okay, number 4, characteristics. Surveyed materials must have been based upon genuinely original and true facts or data to make them valid and reliable. So to, surveyed materials must have been made based upon genuinely original true facts or data to make them valid and reliable. There are cases, class, where fictitious data are supplied just to complete a research report. That is not allowed, diba? We should only review what? Valid and reliable data or information. So true facts or data to make them valid and reliable. Of course, this kind of deception is hard to detect and to prove. Thus, this is a real problem to honest researchers. Okay, 5th characteristics. Reviewed materials must not be too few nor too many. So take note for that. Reviewed materials must not be too few. Dili gamay kaayo. But also not too many. Di po sobra kadaghan. So to, not too few and not too many. They must only be sufficient enough, diba? Sakto-sakto lang to give insight into the research problem, to indicate the nature of the present investigation. Number may also depend upon the availability of materials. Okay, next topic will be sources of related literature and studies. Asa man ta mangita og related literature and related studies. What are the sources? So these are the sources. The sources of related literature and studies may include the following. Okay, first, books, encyclopedias, almanacs, di ba? And other similar references. Number 2, articles published in professional journals, magazines, periodicals, newspapers, and other publications. Number 3, manuscripts, di ba? Like researches, di ba? Unpublished manuscripts, monographs, memoirs, speeches, letters, and diaries can be source of information. And number 4, unpublished theses, diba? Mga previously researches of alumni, unpublished theses and dissertations. It's either offline or online. Number 5, our constitution and bylaws, diba? The constitution and the laws and the statutes of the land. Pwede po nga mga balaod. The constitution itself, diba? Our 1987 constitution, our statutory laws, ordinances can be a source of information. Okay, the constitution and the laws and statutes of the land can be a source of related literature and studies. Pwede nga basa ka sa constitution, basa ka sa mga statutory laws, republic acts, di ba? Executive orders, presidential decrees, ordinances, local ordinances. It can be a source of your related literature and related studies. Bulletins, di ba? Bulletins of various government agencies, circulars and orders emanating from government offices and departments, especially from the Office of the President of the Philippines and the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports. It can be a source of related literature and related studies. Records of schools, diba? Public and private, especially reports of their activities. Reports from seminars, educational or otherwise, diba? Reports from conference proceedings. 9, official reports of all kinds, educational, social, economic, scientific, and technological, political, from the government and other entities. Okay, next, where to locate the sources of related literature and related studies? Asa siya makita. Now, since you already know the sources, the next thing you need to consider is where to locate. Asa mo mangita og related literature and related studies. Generally, class, the sources of related literature and studies are located in the following places. So first, libraries. Diba? Either government, school, private libraries. It can be a place where you can locate your related literature and studies. Government and private offices. You can visit government offices, private offices. The National Library, example, you are financially capable of going to the National Library. So there are a lot of references there, diba? A lot of researches, books, in the National Library. In fact, some of the researches that we have in the campus are already copyrighted in the National Library. Number 4, the Library of the Department of Education, Department of Culture and Sports. So those are places where you can locate the sources of your related literature and related studies. Okay. Okay, that would be all for literature search and review. The next video lecture will be done. The next video lecture will be all about tools for literature search and review. I will be doing another video lecture for literature tools, for discussing the different tools for literature search and review and how to properly cite and then to do a references. So that will be my next video. Watch out. God bless and have a nice day ahead.